Welcome to Matters of Decorum. I'm Scott Corum. This is what matters to me. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas, joyous Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate. Happy holidays. It covers the most of them. It being that joyous season, I thought I would tell a couple of stories this month revolving around some holiday-themed games. As a game master, you're always looking for some inspiration, something to give you an idea of what kind of adventure your party's going to get into this week or over the next campaign. And the holidays are so full of lore and legend, especially if you dig into them a little bit and do a little twisting, that there's really no reason not to have good old-fashioned holiday-themed games. If a television series has themed an episode after it, or if every television series tries to have that episode about this holiday, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Halloween, well, it's probably a good idea to go ahead and have a Christmas-themed game, or a holiday-themed game. The group that I game with in Manhattan Beach, this upcoming weekend, we start our 2-session every other week December games, which is the Doctor Who Christmas special that I run for the group. So that should be interesting. I wrote a short story in 1990, 1990, entitled The North Pole Affair. I read it to a communications class that I was in at the time. They seemed to like it, and so I adapted it into a game adventure for GURPS at the time, GURPS Supers. And it turns into a fairly good meta-human plot, so much so that elements of that have found their way into Hot Chicks the Role-Playing Game and the upcoming Destiny 2025. The title of the story was The North Pole Affair. And here is the general plot as relayed as a game supplement. The group is called to a mysterious occurrence. Some satellite imagery picked up a large thermal reading on the North Pole of the Earth. The group goes, not expecting to find too much. There's not a lot up there, maybe a research station or two, to find that for 300 feet around the North Pole, a 600-foot diameter hemisphere of the ice has been clean melted away, gone, nothing there. A 300-foot deep crater, perfectly smooth. Rolls on investigation skills and demolition skills will reveal that it's very likely a large amount of thermite was used to remove a large section of the permafrost. Why? That's a very good question. But then something happens. Suddenly, a shot rings out. Out of the ice at the edge of the crater, hands start bursting out and whole bodies come out, and the party is attacked by about 100 elves. They are Tolkien-esque D&D elves. They are equipped with long bows and short swords. They have long pointed ears. They are undead. They are attacking mostly with their bows, getting in there with their short swords when they approach melee. They are doing a good amount of damage as the weapons are magical. They are walking on top of the snow and ice as though it were solid ground, pulling a Legolas as it were. So they're not suffering any of the penalties for moving on and around snow and ice that the player characters probably are. What is even more unusual is that these elves are dressed in bright red and green colors. Where their clothing is not bright red and green, it is red and white stripes. There are zombies. The fight may be difficult, but a group of superheroes or properly powerful player characters can probably take them down without suffering too much injury. Examining the bodies, will determine that they are not human. They are their own genome, elves, apparently, and that the only contents in their stomachs is several days old eggnog, candy canes, and gingerbread. At this point, I made a note in the adventure that any of the players who turn to the game master and inform him that he is sick in the head for running this gets bonus experience. The other things that are found, small tracking devices, almost credit card size, just designed to transmit to a satellite the exact location and disposition of each of the elves. Tactical net, so that their movements and how functional they are can be conveyed to somewhere else, a command structure, as it were. This network can be tracked. It is a difficult role to do so, but this will lead directly to the lair of our antagonist. There's not a lot of extra steps. It's not a long adventure. It's over the course of an evening. And perhaps when it's snowing outside and everyone has cups of hot chocolate. The satellite signals are all being routed to the corporate headquarters of an organization called Paper Incorporated, or Paper Inc. A little research determines that this is a stationery manufacturer located in Northern California, city of your choice. They manufacture wrapping paper and little journals, gift cards, have a lot of holiday and seasonal items, and their motto is that our paper is made from magic trees. It sounds really funny, but if anyone does any kind of metaphysical comparison between the magic weapons being wielded by the elves and any samples of the paper produced by Paper Inc., they will find that there is a similar signature. That perhaps, yes, Paper Inc. has cut down magic trees and has manufactured them as paper. The CEO of Paper Inc., the individual who founded the company and from whom it got its name, would be a one Jackson John Paper, who is friendly enough with the player characters, but if there is a moment of difficulty in their initial interviews with him, he will leave the room very quickly. He will move through heating ducts and vents that people shouldn't be able to get through, and he is moving ridiculously fast. Obviously a speedster of some sort, but he has more abilities than that. On their way to follow him, which is going to have to be done either through conventional means or some kind of superpowered chase scene, the group will be intercepted by very short ninjas. They can only see bright orange skin through the eye holes of the ninja costumes. Yes, they're not actual ninjas, they're cinematic ninjas, and the fact that they're only about 4 feet tall and a little rotund might be the first clue that not all is right here. The other thing is that the nunchaku that the ninjas are wielding appear to be abnormally flexible. They have more stretch to them than a regular set of nunchucks, so they've got more reach than the player characters might be used to dealing with. They hit very hard, but they're doing more stunning damage than actual damage. They are brightly colored, oranges, greens, reds, yellows, and they're vaguely translucent. Anyone who can make a roll on a perception roll based on smell will detect the slightly fruity scent that can only come from gummy candies. The ninjas are wielding gummy nunchucks. This is not really a problem, except that they're being wielded with a great deal of skill. The ninjas are likely to hit with them, and anyone who takes stun damage from the nunchucks must make a roll to save versus a poison effect or absolutely everything that they eat for the next 2 weeks will taste like gummy bears. If you really like gummy bears, and that sounds like a really good idea, try eating nothing but for 2 weeks. That was a bad 2 weeks for me, and I assure you, it doesn't end well. There are enough ninjas so that everyone has to deal with at least one. The really powerful characters or the characters of martial arts themselves might have 2 or 3 of these little ninjas on top of them. Once defeated, the ninjas recover consciousness very quickly, but do not attack. They sing and go into a little dance. They'll sing a song about how dangerous it is to fight ninjas, about how they shouldn't go after the CEO of Paper Inc. because he's really dangerous. The choreography and the song style will seem somewhat familiar. Anyone who can make a role on academics or popular culture will realize that, combined with the orange skin and the body shape, that the party has been fighting Ninja Oompa Loompas. Not so much dangerous, but very annoying, and if the party listens to the song, very informative. There may be another couple of Ninja Oompa Loompa encounters on the way down to the basement of the Paper Inc. Main building, which is full of civilians and personnel and people who know absolutely nothing about anything going wrong with the company. The employees of Paper Inc., minus the Oompa Loompas, know nothing about anything that the CEO is doing that has anything to do with the North Pole. However, once people get to the basement and get through the high security door, which is difficult to get through, but not impossible, should be good penalties to the roll, but people should be able to get in. This is revealed to be a dungeon, a very vile dungeon. Old style stone, iron bars with silver inlay, so there's obviously something going on with the Fae or the fairies, as there's both cold iron and silver to keep things inside of these cells. And they'll start to identify the occupants of these cells, who are the cells are rigged to explode if they're opened at this point in time. Difficult, nigh impossible rolls. It's going to take a long time to disarm each individual cell, so getting into them at this point, probably not the best move that the group can make. The first cell, the most recently used cell, is occupied by a large man with a large stomach or belly, which does tremble a bit like a bowl full of jelly. He is not jolly at the moment, but St. Nicholas is in one of these cells. He has been rendered unconscious. He's not in danger of passing into a coma, but he's badly bruised. He got beat up some. The next cell, there's a furry, a rabbit, pink rabbit, about 6 feet tall, 7'5" if you count the ears. Next to the rabbit, there is a basket with plastic green grass in it. Rabbit is wearing a vest, not much else. It is a nice vest in multiple colors. It does not take a lot of lore or knowledge to understand that for some reason the Easter Bunny is in the cell next to Santa Claus. It gets worse from there. There is a woman, the next cell over. She is not entirely unattractive. Her facial features have a greenish tint to them. Her nose may be a touch too long, maybe a bit crooked. She has a conical black hat with a broad rim. There is a broken broom next to her. This is the typical Halloween witch. No longer poised in front of the moon, but a prisoner in this cell. The cell next to her, an infant. Crying baby, which is going to really want to inspire people to get into them, but there are bottles in there. Baby's obviously being fed. It is just upset that it is being held here. The baby is wearing a diaper, a top hat, and a sash, which reads, 1989. This is the baby new year of 1989, which would explain why that year kind of sucked. It was abducted at the beginning of the year, so never had the opportunity to fulfill its growth process into the old man of the year by the beginning of 1990. At the end of that corridor, a very large door, extremely large, maybe 20 feet tall, wood, iron, silver, steel, incredibly heavily secured. Anyone listening at this door will hear the sound of weeping magnified. It is loud, as though something very large is in there. Before any attempt can be made to open the last door, the CEO will show up. Jackson John Paper will attack the party. He has acquired the powers of all of the legends he has abducted. Think about that for a moment, because these are icons. The baby new year is the passage of time over the year. It is rebirth, it is regrowth, it is perfect regeneration. The Witch of Halloween is, while a symbol of fun, also a symbol of fear. It is terrifying, it is scary. It is that jump scare in the middle of the movie. It is that hovering image of death and peril that you just can't quite get away from. The Easter Bunny can deliver eggs to every house on Earth in a morning. Faster than Santa's nighttime delivery of presents, the Easter Bunny does everything between dawn and when people start to look for the eggs. And legs powerful enough to move that fast can also kick pretty hard. Rabbits are natural kickers. But Santa Claus, oh my God, he can lift enough presents to give one to every person on the planet. He can move quickly enough to deliver all of these presents over the course of an evening. He has the ability to discern a person's general alignment and morality, and how well they are practicing within their morality. Are they naughty or are they nice? And he can discern this for everyone all at once. Santa Claus is nearly omniscient. He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. If that's not enough, when I ran this game, several people charged Jackson Paper because they thought they could take him. Suddenly, their feet hurt so bad they had to stop and pull their boots off because he had put coal in their socks. But there was more power there. There was more power than those legends could account for. And if people are capable of discerning it, if they've guessed, if they've been listening, they'll realize that as a child, Jackson John Paper went by the name Jackie. And behind the big doors, there is a dragon. The solution to the scenario, because Paper is hard to beat, is to get those doors at the end of the corridor open, free the baby new year from 1989, and give Puff the Magic Dragon another child. Then the two of them will beat Jackie Paper within an inch of his life. I have always hated Jackie Paper from the first time I was 7 years old and heard the song Puff the Magic Dragon, and the waterworks started, much like they just did now. Even at the age of 7, when I heard the end of the song, where Jackie Paper showed up no more, and Puff couldn't handle it and gave up, my tiny 7-year-old mind in the midst of my despair and the sadness of the story, could not help but scream. So, the story, the game, a bit cathartic for me. Once someone has released Puff and either the Baby New Year or one of the party members has agreed to team up with him, Jackie Paper will start to lose the power of the legends that he has abducted, because taking the power away from Puff by his abandonment and eventual betrayal is what gave Jackie Paper the ability to absorb these powers from these legends. He will lose them in the order that he abducted them. So the first thing he loses is all of his draconic might. Half his strength. He could breathe fire if he'd had to. He had a sonic attack in the form of a roar. That goes away. He loses the regenerative ability of the Baby New Year. He loses the ability to generate fear of the witch. He loses the speed of the Easter Bunny. And then he loses everything that he got from Santa Claus. He has a magic ring because he's been stocking up on a few magic items just in case something like this happened. In the classic Scott villain tradition, he can teleport away just before he dies, before he is completely beaten or captured. Because a good villain will always have a way out. This is optional if you feel the player characters are angry enough or need the catharsis by this point in time, or really just earned it. They can squish Jackie good and proper. He will, however, leave behind his coat. That slipped out of his coat gets away. Freed from the cells, because at this point the party has more than enough time to get everyone out of their cells, and freeing Santa allows him to provide what necessary equipment will get everyone out of the cells. Everyone is capable of going back to where they belong and their proper function. Halloween can be properly scary again. Easter can be more joyous. Some New Year, and well, the New Year is now part of the New Year and Puff the Magic Dragon thing. The wonder of dragons can come back a bit, and Puff and the Baby New Year will probably go hang out around Somalia, because one of their big things was dealing with pirates, and Somali pirates versus a dragon. I want to play that game one of these days. Anyone out there is listening. Santa will thank the party by giving them what they want for Christmas. By this point in time, because these events happen near Christmas Eve, the workshop is gone, the sleigh is gone, the reindeer is gone, and everyone's wondering if anything can be done to save Christmas this year. At which point, Santa will pick up Jackie Paper's coat, go through it for his wallet, find his credit card, and between Santa and Amazon, everyone's Christmas will be fine. I work out issues with my games. Having Jackie Paper beaten up both in the short story form and over the times I have run this, pretty cathartic. The Oompa Loompas, Jackie Paper had killed Willy Wonka at some time in the past. Actually, in the continuity of the games that I was running, Willy Wonka had been pulled out of that time stream and was part of a time stream, interdimensional crime fighting unit called Team Depp, where every character ever played by Johnny Depp was a member of a interdimensional crime fighting team. Most of his characters. A few of his characters have been taken by the other side and were actually villains. Be that as it may, Team Depp's another story. The Oompa Loompas will join up with Santa to become his new elves, and more or less a happy ending for everyone. Many experience points, more experience points for players who, again, asked if the GM was sick in the head when they decided they wanted to run this. Yeah, now that I say it out loud, I have some issues. This should come as a surprise to absolutely no one. Well, again, happy holidays. We'll see about having the tree up throughout December. It's not December yet, but it is after Thanksgiving, so officially I'm okay doing this. If you enjoyed the video, please feel free to like. If you'd like to ask any questions or have any comments about it, feel free to make comments. If you would like to get notice of these videos coming out as they come out, subscribe to these videos and get those notifications. If you really like the video, I would invite you to hit me up at www.patreon.com/ScottCorum and consider becoming a donor. Every little bit helps. You can go ahead and cap your donation at whatever you feel like coughing over a month. $20, $10, $5, $1 a month would be awesome. Because if everyone did that, then I'd actually have a chance to produce much better videos, produce game supplements a little bit faster, and generally live a better life. So, if you're wondering what to get me for Christmas, thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. If you're a game master and you feel like throwing that scenario at your player characters in whatever system you're running in at the moment, give me a comment with an email address to hit you up at, or find me on Facebook. I'm not hard to find. Scott Corum. And let me know. Let me know if you need any extra information or any statistics for anything, or if you'd like to let me know how that scenario goes. I'd really like to hear about Jackie Paper getting the crap beat out of him a few more times. In the meantime, I am Scott Corum. This is What Has Mattered to Me, and I will see you next time on the next Matters of DeCorum. Fun fact, taking thermite to the North Pole actually qualifies as a war on Christmas.